Well, hey there, idiots. Welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing the nonverbal communication of a few different people during a meeting between Natalia Grace and Michael Barnett. More on that in just a second. Let's go ahead and roll that intro first. Have you ever Googled yourself or perhaps someone you know or love and have been completely shocked by the amount of personal information that you were able to find just plastered everywhere for the public to be able to find on various sites? Well, you're not alone on that front. There are thousands, if not millions, that have done the very same thing in the same way and found very much the same thing that you have. But fortunately for you and for everyone, today's video is brought to you by Aura, the guardian of your online presence. Meet Aura, your digital shield against brokers who are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers and anyone curious about where you live. I did a video a bit ago on here on the channel where a duo did a pretty convincing supernatural seance for some YouTubers. During their seance, they reported that they had received very specific details about the YouTubers from the supernatural realm with which they were claiming to communicate. However, while watching the duo, I and many others started to feel a little suspicious of them using some form of trickery, not the least of which is a technique called hot reading. A hot read is where a person or persons preemptively gather information about their clients to present to them later on as if it were being supernaturally revealed. It's a simple trick that has been made all the easier and more accessible with the invention of the internet. With a few quick searches, low-cost paywalls, and some showmanship, anyone can do an extremely convincing supernatural read. Income information, familial relations, residential locations, criminal records, phone numbers, and more are all very easily found by anyone with a basic internet connection and a few dollars, which is a little unsettling to say the least. However, what is even more unnerving is that professionals called data brokers actually buy and sell this personal information for profit, oftentimes without you even being aware of it happening. Fortunately for you, Aura doesn't just stand by, it takes action. They identify those data brokers that are exposing your information and submit what are called opt-out requests on your behalf. Legally speaking, the brokers have to remove your information if you ask them to, but they do make it super difficult to do so. That being said, Aura takes on this challenge and handles the heavy lifting for you, but that's not all that Aura does. It's also your all-in-one solution for protecting yourself and your family from online threats you can't even see. And the best part? It's incredibly easy to set up. There's no need to juggle multiple different apps. With Aura, you get all that you need in one affordable price. For some perspective, take a look at this graphic here comparing what you might get from Aura as opposed to other companies. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off of your private information, or you can head to aura.com/observe to start your 2-week free trial. Don't let your online presence be a free-for-all. Click the link in the description below and let Aura be your shield in the digital world. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video, and back to your regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is between Natalia Grace, Michael Barnett. For those of you who do not know the situation itself, I have done another video that gives a much better backstory on it. Go and check that video out if you would like to hear that. Otherwise, we're going to kind of function off of the information given in that. Honestly, this is probably going to be a series. That's enough of the talking, though. We're going to go ahead and just get right into things, and we'll talk about it as we go along. Also, before I actually dive into that, something else that I want to make note of. The audio for this sounds a little bit weird. I had to do a fair bit of audio editing to remove all of the music from this so that we can kind of just hear the vocals. That might not be your most favorite to hear, but I couldn't really find a way around it to get past copyright, everything like that. So bear with me on that, but now let's begin.
I feel like I have to do this. I feel like I'm compelled to do this. I feel like I have to finish this. Just want everybody to be happy and heal and live their lives. I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to hide. I'm not here to scream. I'm not here to coerce. But in the end, a bad guy wouldn't be here today doing this.
All right, going to pause here and just talk about nonverbal things that we're seeing. We're seeing those obvious signs of agitation, the manipulators that are coming out, the gravity-defying gestures that are coming out, all of these different things that are just indicating to us that he is feeling some degree of nervousness or agitation in regards to what's coming up here. Makes sense, and this is extremely common anywhere that you see a person waiting for something that might have some emotional weight behind it. You'll see these agitation gestures coming out. The self-soothing, the manipulators, everything come out during that time. And so that makes sense contextually. Now, what I want to make note of verbally here is that he does bring forth this statement of, and a bad guy wouldn't do this. And so this is in regards to many people referring to him as the bad guy, to this being Natalia's approach to things. And so he's stating this to preemptively get ahead of things. It could be a point of manipulation. Something that I will note from Michael's side of things continually is that he does have this level of manipulation about all of his interactions. We'll see that coming out here. However, Michael is not the only problematic behavior during this. Let's keep watching.
I'm not a bad guy.
I'm not a bad guy. So he says, I'm not a bad guy, repeats it, I'm not a bad guy, in a little bit lower register. So that's to hammer that home. Again, we understand the context to that. However, what I will note is that he does a specific reposturing after that and does a little shrug in there after he says he's not a bad guy, and perhaps possible insincerity in that. He might feel that he is a bad guy on some levels. And then he does a pretty hard eye contact here with the person with which he's speaking. And this would be an interesting area to be able to see nonverbally. Is he going to break eye contact regularly? Is he going to have trouble holding his gaze? That could be an indicator of shame, perhaps guilt. It's difficult to hold another person's gaze, so that could be the case there. However, he holds it quite steadily with this expression, frozen rather, on his face. And that also just lets me know that he is rather in control of what he's trying to display, both verbally and non-verbally right now. So I have some questions that are popping up on regards to the Barnett side of things. However, let's just keep watching. So we're about to get into some other areas here. Something that I want to make note of, and I'm not sure why this was done. It might have been done by the producers themselves of the documentary, but the front door is open to this house where Natalia and Michael are going to be meeting. Front door's open, and I don't know whether or not they were coached to stop and do this here, but the front door's open so Michael can hear, and they stop and have this whole little meeting thingy that they do here at the beginning before coming in. This is an obvious power move and manipulation point from Natalia's side of things by having this done just out of Michael's vision, but in his earshot. You'll see what I mean.
Let's get ready to let God have his way.
Amen.
This is it. We here. He took you to it. He gonna take you through it. So I want you to go in there and say everything that is on your heart, everything that you have suffered, everything that you have dealt with. And it's okay to be angry. Be confident, walk in that. Because God's got you, I got you. So I want you to go in there and be not afraid. See the truth. Because that devil is a liar. In the name of Jesus.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and pause here. So they're having their little prayer moment outside, which is fine. They have the right to be able to have that prayer moment. Now, again, what's fascinating, Here they are standing at a very open door. They're literal feet away from Michael. And now they're referring to Michael as a devil, as that devil is a liar. So a devil and a liar, really setting the tone for how their side of things is going to come in here. Also setting the tone for their perception of the situation with bringing in their religion in very heavily. The fact that the door's open and that they're audibly ridiculing the other party, that lets you know this is a power move and a manipulation point. So we're already seeing this pattern coming out from Natalia's side, which isn't super healthy or okay. And we're seeing these issues coming out from Michael Barnett's side, which isn't super healthy or okay either. And it just continues. Let's watch.
Lord God, let everything be purged today in the name of Jesus, and let the record be cleared up. Because God's got the highest court of the land. That's the truth. When we go, God is in control. I ain't got no fear. It's going to be holy around here.
That devil's a liar, a complete lie.
When we go, God's in control. And we just ask God that you would continue to shine a light upon this situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, so now they've completed their little session out there, and again, being derogatory towards the other party, door open, aggressive, encouraging aggressive emotions during this. Natalia's side of this was coming in ready for a fight, and not only a fight, but a self-righteous fight. So anytime that a person decides to bulk in their religion with their own personal side of things, that lets me know that that is on some level a manipulation point. It's no longer just a me to you. So there is that power play already in motion here. Let's now have the interaction between the two people begin.
Let's do this. I said, how are we doing?
Hi.
Okay, non-verbally speaking, we're seeing Michael intentionally small. He's making himself very small. He's rubbing his hands more overtly now that Natalia's in the room. Signs of agitation, smaller frame could be a sign of insecurity, consistently looking down. However, I don't necessarily buy that this is something that Michael is fully feeling so much as he is producing this. And it's because of the overt nature of how he's behaving and how much it dramatically changes and shifts from Natalia being outside the room to Natalia being inside the room. And I have a feeling that it is a performance that Michael is at least on some level putting on here. He wants to convey that he is in this very humble, submissive position to everything as done through his nonverbal communication. But as you'll see throughout this entire interview, that is exclusively hinging on the other party going along with his specific narrative. And as soon as that narrative is interrupted, then he breaks character, or he breaks this submissive, I am just so humble and contrite to be here. Now, then back on Natalia's side of things, we're seeing a fair bit of aggression. She's not showing any of these submissive behaviors with the trying to sit small, look down, anything along those lines. We're seeing a lower and drawn together of the eyebrows here. That's an indicator of agitation in regards to perhaps anger. The negative emotions could also be scorn, anything along those lines. And then we're also seeing her try to hold direct gaze with Michael during this time. So we're seeing a little bit of aggression. That makes sense even contextually, considering how Natalia came into the situation, being hyped up by her new guardian. Michael's trying to manipulate in his own way. Both parties are being extremely manipulative right now in very different ways. Let's keep watching.
Why are we here, Michael?
Why are we here? That's
All right, I'm going to pause here. So the main thing that I see on Natalia's face during this time, again, drawing together, lowering of the eyebrows, her eyes are lightly squinted. So that lightly squinted expression there, that's an indicator of scorn. And then you could see a little bit of that activity in the corner of her nose as well, and disgust. So we're seeing scorn and disgust from Natalia in regards to Michael. Makes sense contextually, especially considering everything that Natalia actually did go through because of Michael and his ex-spouse at the time. So this is all making sense, but we're also getting a very good idea as to how the actual play of this is going rather than what either side is trying to present. Let's keep watching.
That's well, if you're talking philosophically, I can't even say the word right. That's probably something more for the bishop over here. But why are we here?
No, like, I want to know, why did you adopt me in the first place? Why?
All right, again. So from Natalia's side, obvious anger. I'm not going to go too far into that. That makes sense. From Michael's side, he starts immediately nervous packing his response. Oh, and I can't even say that. And he starts adding all these extra words in. He's buying time. He's trying to also do something in the realm of building rapport with Natalia. He's trying to make it to where Natalia and him can have this more heart-to-heart interaction. Now, this is a manipulation point from Michael as well. He's still doing a different form of manipulation than Natalia is. His is the subordinate manipulation. He wants pity, and so he's going to do everything he can to get that pity. He wants to make a joke. He wants to talk more lighthearted. He wants to display the nonverbal communication that invokes people to give him pity. Not so with Natalia's side. She's doing the manipulation with, I'm going to show that I'm on an attack. I'm going to not give the space around my side of things because I'm backing it up with my religion. So I'm going to put this person down before I see them. Then I'm going to come in here. So there's manipulation from both sides. Very, very overt. In my opinion, from what I'm seeing so far, this was an extremely horribly orchestrated interview or interaction between these two. Whoever decided to have all of these other people involved in this was wrong. And for very many obvious reasons that we're going to be able to see here as we continue through.
Many of these questions there's not going to be a single answer to. I've learned recently you and I had the same monster, Christine. And we are...
Obviously, we're still seeing substantial anger from Natalia on all different ways. So the anger and dismissiveness, as well as we're seeing the eye rolls in there. We're seeing disgust still extremely common in there. The breaking off of eye contact, the sighs, the repulse strings, all coming from Natalia. All of it centered around this aggression and disgust for Michael. And again, it's understandable considering what Natalia specifically went through. However, what we're about to hear is Natalia, who was in a very negative position, start to pose questions that are extremely ignorant and not okay to pose to somebody else who could have been in a different negative position. So we'll see how that plays out here in a second, and it's all driven by Natalia's anger. So we see this play coming out here. Let's just see how it actually goes.
We are here because we both were incredible victims of an otherworldly type of abuse.
Okay, first,
Gonna go ahead and pause here before Natalia responds and talk about what Michael has done here. So he's taken two separate issues here, and he's tried to now mesh them together to where instead of Natalia having a whole slew of things that she has the right to be upset about and angry about, and he's tried to now take himself and group himself into her group. And they're not in the same group. Michael's situation of abuse is different than Natalia's situation of abuse. But even though they're different, we're seeing Michael try to marry the two together, which lets us know again, this is a manipulation point. He's trying to build even more rapport. He's trying to now paint it out to where Natalia and him are on the same side, same team, even though a lot of their interactions while they were in the same living conditions were not that. There was none of this team camaraderie that was there before. Now Michael's trying to do that. So that's a manipulation point from Michael. Not a good thing on his side. Now we're going to be able to hear Natalia's side from things, and it's problematic in and of itself as well.
first, I'm gonna say, please don't cuss.
I'll do my best. I speak in a certain way. I'll do my best.
Second, what do you mean by you were a victim?
Oh, God. This is all the stuff you don't know.
Well, you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Now, the request to not cuss from Natalia makes sense, especially if she's just not comfortable around it. Hey, don't cuss, I'd appreciate that. And Michael responded in kind. In my opinion, that interaction, that seemed okay. Somebody requests a thing, another person says, I'll do my best. Good, great, golden. And then on top of that, how are you a victim? And Michael has a very overt response. All of his responses seem to be very play acted. Everything seems to be dialed up a little bit. If we're talking about emotion in terms of saturation, the saturation's been brought up a hair here. So he's very performative during this situation. And Natalia's not having much of that. She wants to kind of cut through the crap, which she could be very used to Michael's crap by now. But let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, I do. You want to give me time to do it? This is not easy.
I'm going to go ahead and pause here. Michael's, again, taking that victim state. They want to give me time to do it. This is not easy. And then he wants to retake control of the emotional reins that are out there right now. And so we're seeing this battle between the two of them in two different ways. Natalia wants to be in control, and Michael wants to be in control. And neither of them are willing to see the other person's point of view on this, because I think both of them feel like they were equally injured. I think that Michael has a level of shame and guilt around his, because I'm fairly certain he's compensating, that he knows that his situation was not as dire as Natalia's, but he still feels like he was wronged in a way. So now he's compensating with that and trying to elevate his issues to match Natalia's issues, and they're really not the same issue. So we're seeing this battle back and forth. Let's keep watching.
I had the same monster you did. I was exceptionally controlled and put down and threatened, was minimalized. Anything that was who I was ripped from me, and I was guided and instructed to be exactly what she wanted me to be.
What do you mean?
Pausing there. Michael's response, again, exceptionally controlled. He's really trying to play up his side of things, how hard it was for him. And again, grouping it in with Natalia's side of things, with we had the same monster, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff, we're still getting that same side of manipulation from Michael. From Natalia's side, we're starting to see her breathing increase during this time, which is an indicator of further agitation. She's getting more emotionally invested in the situation and more emotionally triggered by the situation, as we're seeing by the physiological response of her breathing increasing. So we're noticing these two things. It's about to continue from here in a spicy way.
What do you mean by threatened?
Her favorite threat was taking the boys away from me and making sure I would never see them ever again.
Why didn't you leave?
That's the best question ever. I tried. And the answers aren't going to be what you're looking for to a degree, but I tried to leave her no less than 10 times. I ended up in the hospital regularly over it.
Why did you marry her?
That's a hell of a question.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and pause here. So we're hearing now some of these problematic questions come from Natalia, these victim-blaming questions, something that is showing that Natalia is not using her full mental faculties with this, and she's being very emotionally driven with what she's saying here by asking these very problematic questions. So that's coming from Natalia's side, something that I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate that approach to things, and it's not really her position to challenge him on those things. Then from Michael's side, we're still seeing this overt performance of everything, and now he's starting to clam up and get a little bit more defensive as to what his side of things could be. So I would expect to see perhaps some more emotional embellishment on areas, perhaps some more intensifying of trying to say like what he was going through was much worse, something along those lines, to be able to try to wrestle back and regain this control that Natalia has taken by asking these inappropriate questions. So we're still seeing this back and forth. Both parties are being extremely problematic in their own ways. So let's just keep watching.
Before you do that, let's respect God in this place.
I'm sorry.
Right? Let's not use curse words. I know you talk like this on a regular basis, maybe, but we try to keep a clean environment. So
This is really hard. I don't.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause here. So now what has happened is that Natalia's father or parental figure has now stepped in, and instead of this being something that's between Natalia and Michael, it's something that's now between Natalia, Michael, and the imposed parameters of Natalia's religion. Not Michael's religion, but Natalia's religion. So the fact that that is now the imposed portion of this means that the bishop is trying to take a different level of manipulative power move. He's taken Michael's ability to enact on his own behaviors and authentically for himself, and now is trying to force Michael into the lens of the bishop's religion by saying, God is in control, we're all going to do this thing, and more or less because the bishop says so. But the bishop is going to say so because he's saying that God says so. So this is a manipulation point using supernatural as an unassailable PowerPoint. Now, Michael is about to feel this power play enact, and it's going to trigger an emotional response in Michael, which we'll see this play out. All parties right now are being so grossly, overtly manipulative. This entire session was difficult for me to be able to watch. Both of them are being gross individuals in their own right. Let's keep watching.
We'll respect everyone's boundary. No more than you ask Michael not to be himself, I will not ask you not to be a Christian today. That sounds crazy, right? Don't be a Christian. See, you can't impose your standard. I don't want to have fights.
He's his own man. You understand that?
All right. Okay. So now the lawyer is stepping in. Lawyer actually brought up a good point. We're not asking you to not be a Christian today, just like you can't ask Michael to not be himself today. So everybody stop imposing. That's reasonable. That's fair. During that time, Michael does another little point of manipulation towards Natalia. He wants to build rapport with Natalia. He wants to curve the aggression and anger, the consequences of his negative actions towards her by building this rapport by saying, I didn't want to have an argument. I didn't want to have a fight, which could be true. Again, though, it is still leaning towards Michael's sense of control. He wants to be in that level of control and not have Natalia have that control. Now, panning back out to the lawyer and the bishop. The bishop now has responded to the lawyer's fairly reasonable request of let's not bring religion into this. This isn't a religion situation. To which the bishop's response is, well, Michael's his own man, which makes zero sense. That's not a comeback. It's just an angry statement, which lets us know that the bishop is on some level being manipulative and using religion as a power play. So that illogical response to the logical comeback come out that was stated by the lawyer is fairly telling. Now let's continue to see how the altercation goes between the two of them, because that's where it all shifts over to now.
It's okay.
And God is in control.
No,
you understand that?
That's this.
God is in control.
That was it. We're not gonna do anything with
I tried.
I tried to get rid of that monster and that beast. I'm trying to talk through everything and fix this.
Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. Hold on a second.
No.
Let me talk to you.
No.
Come here for a second.
No. I can't hear you. Try.
Wait. Let me speak to you for a second.
All right. Gotta pause again here. So now we've seen Michael, his emotional eruption. He's lost control of the situation, so now he's going to use his point of manipulation, which is the emotional display to everything that's going on. He needs to be a victim, and it needs to be an emotional thing, and he's going to enact in any way to be able to maintain that control. On the other side, we're hearing the bishop now step up, and he's wanting to talk. He's saying, let me talk to you. The way he's delivering it is, let me talk at you. And so far, that is the only way that the bishop has communicated to anybody else in the room, is he's talking at them. And so he's talking at the people around him, and he's demanding that people listen to him. And Michael's not wanting to listen to the bishop because the bishop is the one who's causing the problematic behavior in Michael's eyes. So this is all... everybody is just working their hardest to play their own power plays and be the one in control and have their own agendas pushed in this, that nobody is actually willing to listen to the other person. Turns out later on, there's another interaction between the two of them that we will probably actually cover here on the channel if you're interested, that don't have the bishop and the lawyer involved. And that has some different dynamics to it. Again, if you want to see that, let me know. We'll probably do that video. For now, let's see how this little altercation kind of wraps up.
Can I do that? Hold on. Let him do that. Let him do that. I got it.
Michael, come here for a second, man. I'm not here to degrade you. Hey, come here. I'm not here.
God would not do to me. What happened? Leave me alone.
So listen to me.
If there was a
All right, so Bishop going out there, no, listen to me, stop doing things. I'm in charge here.
I don't like the bishop.
I'm really struggling to not have active dislike towards the bishop, but he's going in there and he's still trying to manipulate and use his power moves. He's trying to present that he's the only one who can maintain control of this position, of the situation, which the bishop himself kind of helped create. So now Michael is extremely upset and irate in regards to that, as we can hear by the very obvious tone and everything that we're hearing to Michael's voice. I do believe at this point that Michael has actually fully worked himself into the emotional state that we're hearing and we're seeing. I don't believe that he's forcing this on any level. I think he's actually sitting in that emotion now. Now we're also going to see that Natalia during this time has started to display her own emotion. For a bit, she was sitting with her head in her hands. Now she's sitting back and it seems as though she's trying to produce this sad, perhaps overwhelmed, crying emotion, which doesn't fit with the emotions that she was displaying earlier. It just kind of seems to erupt out when Michael has his outburst. That's a fascinating parallel, and it makes me want to be able to focus in on how Natalia is behaving throughout this whole string of events here to see if she's emoting in ways that are synchronized with the scenario itself. So let's keep watching.
if there was a God, you would have let me die. You would have let me die.
I don't want you to die because he loves you.
All I wanted was just to talk to him.
All right. So now we're seeing another fascinating thing. Obviously, Michael, Bishop, they're all still having their spat outside. Everything that goes into that is obvious, in my opinion. Focusing back on Natalia, she shifted away from the sadness that was there just moments ago to this confused scorn again. All I wanted to do was have him talk to me. Not true. That's not what Natalia was wanting. That's not what they set it up to be. Even their little prayer session out on the porch, none of it was set for Michael to talk to Natalia. That's not the case. So this is a lie from Natalia on that point. And it's also letting us know that perhaps that emotional display that we saw earlier with her suddenly feeling so overwhelmed and emotional because of Michael's outburst could possibly have been forced in and of itself, because now the emotion's nowhere to be seen. Her eyes aren't inflamed. Her nose isn't inflamed. She's not in the act of crying on any level. There's no sadness to be seen. It's just this perhaps confusion, really egged on by anger and scorn. So that crash between emotions is suspicious to me as well, letting me know that perhaps there's more manipulation coming from Natalia's side than is initially apparent. Let's keep watching.
Ask my questions.
God,
Please get away from me. I would like you to get away from me.
Okay.
Get away from me.
All right.
He shouldn't have talked to my dad that way. All my dad asked was that he didn't cuss. Just have some respect. My dad has the right to ask that. Just like I...
Okay, so now we're seeing Natalia. She's just in full anger mode now. All of that sadness that was there a little bit ago, or overwhelm, is gone. She is now fully and exclusively on the aggressive. So she's also claiming things that aren't actually true. That's not all that her dad asked. There was a lot of weight behind that and a lot of context to that that was triggering for Michael as well. So it's not just the question. Natalia asked the question and did well. Hey, I would like it if you didn't cuss during this time. To which Michael said he'd do his best. So that was an okay interaction. That's not what the bishop did. And Natalia's trying to defend the things that the bishop did while stripping away all of the context of what the bishop had behind his words and how he was presenting it to Michael. And out there on the interaction between the two, all that the bishop is again still pushing is his religion on Michael. It's nothing else. You hear quite clearly that there's not any reason for that bishop to be there other than the religious side of things. Now we're going to go back to Natalia here, who is still portraying very aggressive nonverbal communication. And we'll wrap it up here.
That. just like I do.
We're not gonna put up with no spirits up in this house, though. Period. Where we go, God's in control.
Okay. So then we're seeing Natalia again crash from anger to perhaps sadness again. And I'm not seeing any inflammation around the nose or eyes during this display of sadness. Her eyes are squinted, so I can't see. Maybe there's some tears in there. It does not actually ring of genuine emotion, if only because of the crashes in between. But a question that I have in regards to that is that the editing? Perhaps maybe this was taken out of time and she was crying at a different area and then they just interjected these clips back in for more drama. I'm not sure. This interesting crash in between emotions, while forced and fake, does not strike me as odd coming from Natalia because she's already presented that. And then again at the end, we're having a final jab at Michael by the bishop saying that we will not have any spirits in this place. And this is another power move using religion as their backing. So, whew, all right. So Michael has peeled out, whole situation's over, and now we just have to wait for the next interaction between the two of them. If you would like to be able to see that, let me know in the comments. You know how to do that, like I said. So both sides are extremely manipulative in this. I know a lot of people were wanting me to watch this and have a distinct, like, oh, Natalia's great, Michael's bad, or Michael's great, Natalia's bad sort of thing. And my response to that is they're both being manipulative, and extremely so, and neither are willing to hear the other side. So that's my read on this specific interaction. If you would like to see more, let me know. If you do have any other requests, you can let me know by the comments. You could reach out to the socials. You can hit up my email. If you want to be able to see some extra content, sometimes I'll release videos early or have some specific polls. You can go and become a member, support the channel that way. You get a little badge next to your name, stuff like that as well. You know, just all the different stuff. Thank you again to our sponsor for sponsoring this video. But without further ado, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome as you always are, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.